economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Call Dr. Kennedy Graham. I'll ring a bell at 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also will not address the issue of the Maori dolphins tonight in this speech, nor will I talk about New Zealand's nuclear-free policy, which may be under siege, or the government's education policy, or the government's position at the moment on GCSB. None of those issues, sir, will I address tonight, but rather the issue which is before us, which is the bill seeking to amend the articles of the IMF. And I would recall the stated reason by my colleague Dr. Russell Norman for the opposition of the Green Party, which is, among other reasons, that it creates a regulation-making power so that the future updates to the articles can be made by regulation. Let me also address the other reasons why the Green Party will be opposing the bill. And I must say it's always interesting to come late in the debate and listen to what members have said to date. For example, I think we in the Green Party agree with John Hayes. Yes. When he says that, quote, we need to be internationally engaged, we agree. And we would even go as far as to agree with Maggie Barry, who says that we must not be isolationist. We agree too. Nobody should be isolationist in the 21st century. The point is, what is the nature of the engagement? And that is what the nub of this debate is about, where Shane Jones, and we agree with Shane Jones. We're agreeing with everybody, you understand. Shane Jones said that the debate is over Thatcher and Reaganomics, which has come to influence the IMF, and that the debate is essentially revolving around monetarism. And that's the nub of it. And that is the issue of engagement, the debate over the nature of the IMF. And whereas where we diverge with the Labour Party is having agreed that the debate is about monetarism, we would seek to engage with the world in reforming the IMF from that in various ways, whereas Labour is disposed to support it nonetheless. We have for some time now called for the fundamental democratic reform to the IMF, and this bill essentially invites us to comment on the requirements for the reform of the IMF. Let me give 3 examples. The first is that the stated intent of the reforms is to move towards a more democratic and equal representation model. There is some critique of the reforms as not fulfilling that goal. The reforms, for example, remove the ability of the US, Japan, Germany, UK and Italy to appoint directors, 1/4 of the total positions, putting them on the same playing field as other nations in voting for directors. But their voting share remains large nonetheless. There will in fact be little change. The US, for example, will hold 16.5% of total votes, and the G77 between them will account for 41.2%. How do we reconcile that? One nation gets 16% and the better part of 120 nations get 41%. Secondly, the bill also would change the voting allocation. There is a 6% shift, increase in vote of the dynamic countries like Brazil, Russia, India and China. But approximately 2.4% of this shift comes from other developing nations losing their voting share. What kind of reform is that? Thirdly, the agreement also leaves in place the de facto US unilateral veto over some IMF decisions. Some large developing countries opposed the European proposals to lower the special majority voting threshold to eliminate the US veto because they feared they would lose their ability to block things as a group. Sir, when there is inadequate reform of an organisation, a political party has a choice. You support the bill while criticising the bill because the bill doesn't go far enough, and then you support it. Or you say that the bill does not go far enough in reforming it, and because of that, you will oppose the bill. So we're taking the latter approach to this, and we will continue to oppose the bill, notwithstanding the report back from the committee.
I call Michael Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the spirit of the agreement that Dr. Kennedy